Hey everyone, today we are going to do a few simple mods to the Fender 57 Custom Champ and see how we can vary the tone. The two things that we're going to do step by step are to change out the 12AY7 for a 12AX7 and then swap out the Fender Alnico speaker for a Jupiter 8SC ceramic speaker that's also 8-inch. Now we're going to do those, like I said, step by step. So we're going to start with switching out the preamp tube, and then we're going to also switch out the speaker and check it out on three different settings. We're going to do clean, going into the low gain input with the volume at about 6. Then we're going to go overdriven, a basic overdrive, into the high gain input with the volume at about 8. And then we are going to crank it into the high gain input so that you can really hear a range of different tones that this can do and how each varies it across kind of the tonal spectrum. Today I'm playing a Fender Stratocaster loaded with Lust for Tone 57 Lustcaster pickups. Let's get started with some clean tone. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so you just heard right there, you can notice a difference. Obviously, the 12AX7 changes quite a bit on its own. Switching over to the 12AX7 definitely gives it a gain boost, also gives it an output boost. I do want to mention that, just for the sake of the video, I did balance the volume a bit, but it's definitely more output with the 12AX7. Now, interestingly, they all sound good clean, I think. Each kind of has its own different character. I think they all sound good clean. Here's what led to doing this. First of all, I last summer got the Fender 57 Custom Champ and really enjoyed it. Really like that amp, and it does some great things. It was a little lower gain than I expected, but also remember that a lot of the classic tones that you hear, they're going through boards and compressors and all kinds of things, and so I don't necessarily expect a tone. I thought it got the tone I was expecting really well, and very happy with it. But upon reading some things, one of the most notable things that popped out was that, well, geez, why did they send it out with a 12AY7 instead of a 12AX7? That would give it more gain. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. That would be an easy swap to try sometimes. And I've also done some work with Jupiter speakers, and I thought about switching out the speaker because I learned sort of through the grapevine that the Alnico speaker that is in its stock is not necessarily the best one out there. It's not a terrible speaker. It's not one where you go, oh, you need to get rid of this, but it could be upgraded and could make it sound a little better. Now, for speakers that small, your options are of course more limited. You certainly don't have nearly as many options as you do, 12-inch speaker in a larger amplifier. Jupiter makes a ceramic 8-inch speaker, and I got to thinking about it because, of course, Alnico being the more classic, I thought, well, do I want to, lose that classic sound? But also Alnico, I always picture speaker-wise as being warmer and a bit more compressed, and I would think, okay, well, if I'm going to modify this amp, that's one of the things that does it need emphasis? I don't think it needs the emphasis. I thought, well, let's try it with a ceramic and see if it opens it up a little bit. Because one of the charming things about this amp is also one of the things that people lead to calling it a one-trick pony, which is that the best way I heard it described on YouTube from one of you in the comments was, that basically the EQ all collapses into the mid-range. That was the way it was described, and I thought that really sounds right. It's like the mid-range is kind of an implosion of the tone, and you certainly get a wider frequency when you play it lower without totally driving it. But I thought, I wonder how a ceramic speaker might open that up a little bit. Now, some of you might be saying, why do I want to put more money into modifying an amplifier that a lot of people are saying is overpriced? These come in at $1,200, I think. You can check that out and verify that. Is it overpriced? That's hard to say. A lot of things are priced high nowadays. It is expensive. I don't know that it's overpriced comparatively, considering that it's hand-wired, made in the US. The Vox AC4 hand-wired, which is made in China, is $900. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I can understand people saying, geez, I don't want to dump any money into something that costs this much. However, that being said, there are a lot of other clones and do-it-yourself kits out there. So hopefully this gives you all a good option for various other champs as well. Hearing the speakers and hearing how the preamp tubes affect it. So what you're about to hear is a medium, slightly higher gain drive, and where it still stays a little bit more open before fully cranking it up to 12. So let's go back in and we're going to hear it overdriven, not quite fully wide open yet, and now you'll really start to notice the difference, particularly in the responsiveness. So let's take a listen. So you can hear right there with the 12AX7, you know, it really adds some fatness. And then when you switch over to the ceramic speaker, it kind of opens up that fatness again. So there's a whole range here. It's really interesting how it does retain the amp's character, but also changes the way the tone is delivered. So let's get right back into it now, and let's crank this thing for the classic kind of 57 champ in the studio tone and hear how they sound back to back. So that's it, folks. Let us know what you think. What sound do you prefer? Do you like it all stock? Do you like it just with the 12AX7? Do you like it with the speaker? I can understand and appreciate all of them. I like it with the tube and the speaker. I like it with both the modifications. I like the little bit of boost and gain and output. And then I like the way that the speaker opens up the frequency range, again, where the 12AX7 just made it sound kind of fatter and more gainy. And even though it sounded fatter with just the 12AX7, I thought it sounded wider and bigger with the speaker because of how it kind of didn't quite emphasize that lower mid-range and opened up the dynamic response. I do want to mention also that speaker's not fully broken in yet, so that would only start sounding better over time. But let us know, which one do you think is best? I'm going to put a link to Jupiter speakers in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.